It is 12 noon. We will talk to Nick Kelly from AL.com coming up momentarily. We'll get his thoughts on fall camp for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Scrimmage number 1 in the books on Saturday morning. Earlier in the program, we talked to Jason Campbell from Auburn Undercover. So if you missed that interview, you can go back and download the Three Man Front podcast and listen to what Jason had to say in regards to Auburn's scrimmage on Friday, some recruiting news, and some other odds and ends for the Auburn football program. Preseason AP Top 25 poll came out about an hour ago. The Texas Longhorns, number 1, according to the AP. Penn State 2, Ohio State 3, Clemson 4, Georgia 5. Bama comes in the exact same spot they did in the preseason coaches poll, which is preseason number 8. Auburn did not garner enough votes to be ranked in the top 25. They would be ranked 37th if you carried out the total of votes. So that's where we stand at this hour in regards to what's going on in the wonderful world of college football.
Yeah, I don't know, going back to Auburn, how if people actually get offended or put off by these polls. Look, I know that some people do, but for a team that went 6-7 and 5-7 in the last 2 seasons, know that there's a lot there that could happen. But at this point, from the administration, from the fans to the AP and the coaches voters, Pat, you got to prove it on the field.
No, you absolutely do. And it's nothing but a motivation factor.
Sure.
Moving forward. I was looking down the entire list of the 65 voters for the Associated Press preseason poll, and it looks like there's about 3 or 4 that voted Alabama second. You had Javon Edmonds. He voted Alabama number 2 in his preseason poll.
Javon Edmonds. I'm writing these down.
Keep going. I'm not sure. I do not have his affiliation.
I'll find him.
Wait, is that my boy from Albuquerque?
No. He was the only person in America that voted Alabama number 2.
I like that guy even more.
Number 3, you had a host of folks, including Ralph Russo from The Athletic. He voted Alabama number 3. He was on our program last week discussing things. Let's see who else.
Javon covers Syracuse.
Okay, so upstate New Yorker thinks that Alabama's number 2 in America in the preseason. Also, you had a writer from the Albuquerque newspaper. He's got Alabama at number 3.
Who is this?
Sean Reeder, Reider.
All right.
So
he's legit, Landrum, don't worry.
So one person
looking at him,
had Alabama at number 2 preseason. 2 voters had Alabama at 3. Nicole Auerbach, I see, she had Alabama at 9. Bob Ballou from CBS Austin, he voted Alabama 13. Just kind of looking through the list. All right. Our next guest, Nick Kelly, covers the Alabama Crimson Tide. He joins us now on the Higginbotham Hotline. Nick, I hope you're doing well. We're just going over the AP preseason top 25. Anything jump out at you, the list that you saw earlier this morning?
Well, I didn't vote on it, so you guys can't dox me for my vote.
No, we would not do that to you.
Well, it's always out. That's the thing. I did the AP poll at one point, and it's you hear from those random fans because as you guys know, the polls are made public, and I remember I upset the St. Bonaventure fans one time. They were all on my emails, mentions, DMs. It's pretty crazy, but. To answer your question, what stood out to me, maybe Alabama's a little low, but I'm not surprised. I mean, they're 3rd among SEC teams in the poll, just like they were in the media preseason poll. So it's not shocking, but I'm going to be surprised if Alabama is as low as 8 by the season end.
Yeah, good point. Nick Kelly joins us from AL.com talking Alabama football. So the scrimmage took place on Saturday. Your intel, the people that you talked to around that program, were they pleased with scrimmage number 1 under Kalen DeBoer?
Yeah, it seems like the offense is in great shape, ahead of schedule, if you will. It's one of those things where the defense a lot of times looks pretty good early on just because the offense is trying to get on the same page. But Alabama's offense came out of the gate, played really well. I mean, Kalen DeBoer said that. And the defense kind of had to wake up and catch up. So I think that was the most encouraging thing. There were a lot of fans who got a little worried that seeing there were no interceptions, what does that mean for the defensive backs? But we know the defensive backs are going to be solid. I mean, it's a good secondary. I'm not worried about that. To me, that was such a good sign for the quarterbacks that they are taking care of the football. They aren't making many mistakes. So the offense is in a good spot.
Nick, how, based on what you've seen, reports and people you've talked to, how has Ty Simpson elevated his game?
Yeah, I think you just hear about him being poised and crisp and clean and just the way that he goes about playing. And that's kind of all the small things that coaches want. And I think that he's doing that well. And I think that he's been consistent in that way. He's been reliable. He's looked like the veteran that he is. And I think that goes a long way because this offense in a lot of ways is just, hey, this is an awfully nice sports car. Just make sure you keep it on the road. Just keep it going in the right direction. It really is just one of those. I mean, they have so much talent and so many guys that you just need a guy who can kind of steer the ship and keep it on schedule. And I think that Ty is showing that he's got the ability to do that. And that's what they need more than anything. I mean, of course, it's nice when you can throw a pretty football or that you can make some spectacular plays. And I think he's capable of that. But I think more than anything, they need a guy who's just solid, and I think he has shown that, and he's shown he can be consistent, which is what they've wanted from him.
And speaking of the offense, all indications are that the wide receiver room with Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, now Isaiah Horton coming in from Miami, and also a name that I've got a lot of people tell me this name to keep your eye on is Rico Scott, that he has had a really good fall camp so far. Your impressions so far from the wideout position at Alabama?
Yeah, it's stacked because the surprising thing to me, guys, is you mentioned all those guys, and I totally agree that they're all going to have a good season. But a guy that multiple observers told me about after the scrimmage on Saturday was Cole Adams. He made some plays. And now I think it was maybe more with the twos potentially than it was the top group. But, I mean, here's another guy who's in the mix that is trying to make sure that people don't forget about him. So they've got all sorts of options. Another one, Derek Meadows, the freshman. I mean, he's 6'5", and he's got some speed. I mean, you can use a guy like that. So, yeah, you have the top three for sure, and Rico Scott's probably that fourth. But they've got a lot of good options and different guys who can do different things. And so I'm going to be so fascinated, I should say, to see how they use that group of receivers.
We know the offensive line highly heralded heading into the season by most publications, Nick. But if there is a weak spot on that offensive line, where would it be?
Yeah, I think you want to see it more from Wilkin Formby at the right tackle spot. I think he's going to be improved. Everything I've heard is that he's better. But I think that a lot of fans still are a little bit scarred by what he did against South Florida. But I think he's come a long way from that, and he's improved a lot from that. So I'm really eager to see what he can do, but I need to see it from him too. He's got to prove it kind of thing to make sure that spot is shored up. But I think he can do that. So that's a question mark I have, but I'm not too worried. Otherwise, at guard, just seeing how that works out, how they play. I'm high on Cam Dewberry. I think obviously Jaden Roberts is a super strong guy with experience, and even Geno Vandermark brings a lot too. But I'm curious to kind of see how that plays out because he did lose arguably the best player on last year's roster in Tyler Booker. And you have to replace that. And I think they'll be fine, but those are probably the two spots that I maybe have questions about, but I'm not overly worried.
Nick Kelly joins us from AL.com, covers the Alabama Crimson Tide, joins us on the Higginbotham hotline here on this Monday after the first scrimmage from Saturday. So all indications, no turnovers during the scrimmage for the Alabama offense on Saturday. Kalen DeBoer in his post-scrimmage press conference mentioned that there's only been 3 during all of fall camp. Does that mean the offense is at a really high efficient clip, or is that a problem on the defensive side because Kane Womack's group is not being able to force those turnovers?
Yeah, they want those takeaways. So if they're not getting them, they're hearing it from Kane. But again, I just think that Alabama's secondary is going to be good. I'm not worried about it. They've proven they can be good. They'll be back. Most of the guys are back. It's just a matter of, for the quarterbacks, if they're not turning it over, if they're keeping the football in a safe place and not playing losing football, if you will, that's a great sign, especially this early in camp relative to how many camp. They're about halfway done now with camp practices. And the fact that they've minimized turnovers that much, that's a huge sign, because I don't think that this offense is going to have to carry the team on its back and just hope that they can outscore a team 50-45 or something like that. the defense should be pretty solid. So if you can just not put the defense in bad spots and put them, up against their own 20 off a turnover, that helps a lot. So I think folks should be really encouraged by where the quarterbacks are in terms of taking care of the football.
Outside of Ryan Williams, who do you believe is going to be the most productive at that position this season?
Oh, man, I keep going back and forth because Isaiah Horton is the exciting kind of new toy, so to speak, for the offense, and I think he's going to have a great season. But don't sleep on Jeremy Bernard. He's not as maybe electric as a Ryan Williams or even this new guy, Isaiah Horton, but he's reliable as it gets. I mean, he only had, I believe, 2 drops last year per Pro Football Focus. And he also he's got solid hands. He was more productive post-Georgia than Ryan Williams was. And I think folks kind of forget about that just because Ryan Williams has all the attention. But Jeremy's a really reliable receiver and just a good, solid option. So I don't know. I kind of go back and forth between those two. But I really we might see a repeat of that Washington team in year 3 or in year 2 for DeBoer, where I think they had 3 receivers, put up some pretty big numbers. So I could see that again this year.
So some of the reports I was getting on Saturday was the first half of practice, the offensive line did very well holding their own, against the defensive line. But in the second half of the scrimmage, I was told the defensive line started finally making some noise. Any concerns from your point of view in regards to what you've heard from the defensive interior for Alabama?
I don't know that I'm concerned. I want to see what it looks like. I want to see what they can do. I think they need to step up there. I'm not sure about the depth on the interior, but I am eager to see a guy like Jeremiah Beeman, see what he can do in year 2. I've heard some good things about him. See how he kind of fills in with a Tim Keenan type and really a Kelby Collins, the Florida transfer. Where does he fit in and what can he do is another guy that I'm watching. So I think so much of this team right now, guys, to me, it's not a concern. It's more of just, I don't know yet. And I attended school in the show me state. So it's, you got to show me kind of deal. So I'm really curious to see what that interior can do. The only position that I'm really worried about is special teams at this point, but I do have questions about a lot of other positions.
Well, that was where I was going to go next, because I know that's not the sexy conversation that fans want to talk about. They want to talk about the offense. They want to talk about the quarterbacks, wide receivers, running back, but the kicking game. And that's an area that potentially, as Auburn found out last year, without that reliable kicker, all of a sudden you're talking about a team that potentially could vie for a college football playoff berth is now struggling to maybe even make a bowl game. Where does it currently stand with the field goal kicking and the punting situation in Alabama?
Yeah, I wish I could give you a certain answer that I feel confident about something, but I just don't at this juncture. I don't think that it's not that they don't have the guys that could develop into that, but I'm just not certain about it. And yeah, I am wondering what it's going to look like. And can a Connor Talty at kicker, can he step into that field goal kicker role and do well? I mean, he was a solid guy in kickoffs last year, but we just don't know what he's going to be like as a field goal kicker. And then at punter, I mean, folks took James Burnett for granted to an extent because he became so automatic and just trustworthy. They forgot how, when you don't have good punting, how bad that can look. And it can be a 10-yard shank of a punt. And next thing you know, the offense or the opposing offense has the ball on your own 30. So yeah, I don't know that I'm panicking about it, guys, but I also don't feel good about it right now if I'm an Alabama fan. So I need to see answers there, and we'll be interested to see how that progresses throughout the season.
That is Nick Kelly. You can follow his work at al.com. Nick, always great to catch up. Should be a fun rest of the week with the second scrimmage coming up on Saturday. We appreciate it as always.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you. That is Nick Kelly joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. All of our guests join us on that hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Well, Nick said right now he doesn't feel great about Alabama special teams. You want to feel great, you want to look great, you can do it at Mandu right there in downtown Homewood. Mandu is electrical muscle stimulation fitness. It's all FDA approved, and it's a 15-minute workout that you're going to get results from. And without going into all of the technology and the electric pulses that go to various parts of your body, it works. That's why many people started Mandu and they've continued with Mandu, because you get results. 15-minute workout, the equivalent to 6 hours in a gym because of that technology. Your first visit is free and they'll put you in the workout. Go to Mandu, MANDUU.com. Tell Paul and the gang that Landrum from Jock sent you.
We'll go over the AP preseason top 25 poll that came out about an hour ago. Where does Alabama and the rest of the SEC stack up against the rest of college football? That's next on Three Man Front.